Hello, traders. Welcome. I'm really excited for our very first segment of Ask a Trader Live. We don't have an intro, so I'm going to give myself a little drum roll. I want to welcome you guys. This is the first event of hopefully many to come. We're aiming to do this on a monthly basis. And because we appreciate every single one of you and we understand the importance of giving you an opportunity and a forum to ask somebody some questions along the journey to trading success, we felt the need to come out with some kind of broadcast where we get to interact with you. A lot of the other videos that we upload are great. They're very foundational and key knowledge. Our morning market updates every morning at 9 a.m. from Monday to Friday are very popular. But I turn my back to you guys and I give you the update. But today it's all about you. So it's not a scripted broadcast. There's nothing I've come here to the table to talk about. It's all going to be about the questions that each and every one of you have. There's a chat to the right. Do you guys mind popping a little question in there or saying hello just to make sure that you could hear me and everything's set up and ready to go? I've enabled the chat, so you should all be able to participate in there on the right side of the live stream. If anybody would like to confirm that, that would be great. All right, and nobody's replying. Is it working? It is the first one, like I said, so please be patient. Well, that's odd. Nobody's asking any questions or saying hello, which probably means that I might have to do it off the comments section, which is unfortunate. Give me one moment as we work through this. We're going to work through it there, obviously. Also, I have a few questions that I've sort of prepared, and I'm willing to also go with these. But first, let's see if there's anyone. Very odd that I can't open it up to you guys. Give me 1 second. All right, well, let's do this. I'm going to kick it off. Maybe we're all shy and not asking questions. Maybe the question box doesn't work. If the question box is not working, would you guys mind popping a comment in the video below, the actual video itself, and just letting me know that? And then we're going to probably have to use those comment sections to answer some of your questions. So I got a few that I've actually prepared. As a trader, you never expect the worst, but you're prepared for it. And so I knew we could have some technical difficulties ahead of time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer a few questions that I get very often. There's probably about 4 of them. And right after that, I'm going to go in the comment section and then answer your guys' questions one-on-one. So for the first couple minutes, I'm going to answer the ones that I've prepared. And in the meantime, pop your questions in the comment box. I'm going to read them and answer them for you. All right. So question number 1 that I get very often in trading as a whole is this. I get asked, how do I get started trading? All right. And one of the most efficient ways to get started is with a plan. So when we go out to do anything in the world, whether it's our jobs or whether we're striving to get, hang on 1 second. I think it says, he said the chat is working and I can't see it. Oshin, that's very weird. My YouTube's not showing anything. It's just showing me a group chat, but I'm not seeing it on my side. We'll figure it out. So how do I get started trading? One of the ways to do that is to create a plan. So anything that we have in life, we tend to create a plan for. And if you think about where to start, usually you start the same place you start anything else. And that's if you think about going on a vacation or whatever you've done in the past little bit, you start by researching, doing some research, putting together a plan, making it actionable, making it simple, repeatable, and then executing it. All right, there's so much information about trading out there on the interwebs. Some of it good, some of it not. Some of it's just beating around the bush and round in circles. So the question really is, how do you start and where? So not all that information is right for you. So there's a lot of great content, but what you need to find out is how to make trading work for your goals. So start out by having very well-defined objectives and goals. What do you want to do in terms of trading? How much money do you want to make? Is this something that's going to be part-time or a full-time effort for you? How long do you want to accomplish that in? And put some timelines and objectives to it, and that's how you start with that plan. Also, another thing that I like to tell people is part of your plan is to create a schedule. And a schedule means at what point of the week will you be able to dedicate to learning your new craft and practicing it as well. Trading is one of those things It's like when you go through all the information, you have a driver's license, but that driver's license doesn't mean that you could. You got to start out and start driving a little bit at a time, and that starts with creating a schedule. So after you've done your actual education, you want to put together some time to practice. Set it aside. So commit to 1 or 2 or 3 hours a week, whatever it is. I like to always go with the minimal level of commitment, which means this is the minimum amount of time I'm going to put in every week. Anything above and beyond is great. Anything less is not acceptable. So that's where I would really start, is to set aside and dedicate some time. Tell your family, friends, and loved ones you're not available, and just really focus, because this takes a deep and intense focus to learn how to trade. All right. Also, it's important to learn at a place that's reputable. TradePro Academy has been around since 2012, and at this point, I do have to suggest that TradePro Academy is a great place to be. We have a really good live community, really good engagement in there as well. And they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So why not go in and imitate a trader who's already being successful, who's already doing the right steps that can help guide you through there. All right. So that's one of the first questions that I always get. How do I get started? Make it actionable, create a schedule, and then choose what's going to work for your goals. Don't just jump at any system. There's a lot of indicators out there that promise you quick riches and fast riches. None of it works. What you need to do is find what's going to meet your goals and objectives. You're not trying to adapt yourself to a strategy or a market. You're trying to adapt the markets to make it work for you, because at the end of the day, that's the only way it's going to be enjoyable. So that's one of the questions there. Let me see if I could pull up a question or two. So I have a couple more. It's really, the chat box is not working. Oh, here we go. I see it now, guys. Wow. I just have to go watch my own update. So I'm actually watching the video, and it's not on my broadcast page on YouTube, which is strange. So let me go through and look at a few of your questions. So thank you for submitting them. We're going to go through as many as we can. I'm committed to you guys. It's here on a Sunday, and I'm going to go through and bang them out. So let me go start at the very top. All right. What are the most important? Aurora says, what are the most important support and resistance levels you look for every day? Great question, Aurora. We go through this in our courses, but just to give you a quick little overview, I love to see levels such as the overnight high, overnight low, previous day's close, current session high, current session low, and those are very key levels for me. In addition to that, the pivot and anywhere where you have volume accumulation in clusters makes for great support and resistance levels. Also, when analyzing order flow, we find out levels where there's stuck shorts and stuck longs. And the question we try to answer is where are the stop losses? Because that's where the market's going. The market goes to the area where it's going to cause the most amount of pain for the most amount of traders. And that starts by identifying stop levels. And that's how we dig a little bit deeper. But that's how generally we start in the morning room every day after we end the morning market update. What time frame on the footprint chart is best? That depends on what type of instrument you're trading. Anywhere between 5 to 10 ticks is good for a larger time frame chart. What laptop in 2019 would you recommend for day trading? If you plan to travel and trade, almost any laptop will work to support the platform that we use. But the question that I would ask you is find out what your platform requires. Where will you be trading? If you're only using TradingView, any laptop will work. If you're using a more sophisticated broker that you require a couple monitors for, your strategy calls to look at a few things, then you need a little bit more of a high-powered machine. Anything with at least 6 gigabytes of RAM and an i5 or plus should be a good machine to run what you're looking for. But the answer depends on what software you use. All right, so yeah, I have this laptop. Here, I'll show you guys. I'm gonna just lift it up a little bit. I have this laptop that I use, and it's an old machine. It's V110. It's a Lenovo, and it works. And I have 2 USB monitors. We actually have a great video on YouTube showing you my mobile trading setup. Check it out on our channel. All right. Do you think the stocks will keep going down? Fernando, we are at a very critical juncture here. Like if you use a football analogy, we're at the 50-yard line. It's a very important test right now. Anything above 2630 on the S&P 500 has got a lot of institutional and CTA stop levels placed above. So if we manage to break 2630, we can wipe that liquidity out and then maybe see a little bit more of a bid. But we're at a very critical point here. I personally think that we're going to see a little bit more downside in the next couple of weeks to come. But that doesn't mean that you should create that as your only thing you're looking for, because if it turns bullish, you have to ditch your idea and jump on the right side of the trend. So don't look to be right, look to be profitable. but I get a suspicion that we're going to see a little bit more weakness here in the next couple weeks. All right. Boggs says, looking good. Thanks, Boggs. Happy New Year, guys. Hello, hello. What indicators would you recommend for swing trading? Thanks for your help and videos. You're welcome, Fernando. I appreciate you, and thank you for asking the question. What indicators would I recommend for swing trading? It depends on what you're swing trading, and I'll tell you this. What I do recommend is having no more than 2 to 3. If you really like it, the third one has to be added, because what you need to do when you're looking at indicators is not get information overload. Keep it simple, keep it structured. And personally, what I have is my live template that I trade off of. Then I have a little screen on the side every once in a while that I'll mess around with. That's my sandbox. That's where I'll test new things, new indicators, new strategies, new systems. We're constantly evolving at TradePro. We change our templates, our charts very often to capture the change in the markets. So what I would tell you is start with 2 to 3 really good indicators that you like. Anything that gauges momentum. Some of the more traditional ones are RSIs, MACDs, and actual momentum indicator. I love those 3, and they tell me a lot. Divergence, also they tell me the oscillation of the momentum, and they tend to work well together in sync. I would say this, with indicators, less is more, all right? The more indicators, the more confusing it becomes to qualify a trade. So keep it simple. That's my best tip. Athmathea said, just found this channel Friday. Awesome. Do you like it? Thanks for coming out, and I'm happy you found us. I'm happy that I get a chance to chat with you. That's awesome. Trade Doc's got one. How many zeros is that, Trade Doc? Holy crap, that's a lot of questions. I don't know if I have time to answer all those, but we could try with 1 or 2. Just need to again explain the volume profile. Ibrahim, we actually have a nice video on that, and we're rebuilding our futures course. So we're retaping it and completely redoing the material to make it more powerful. We've recorded in 2016. A lot has changed since then. So we're redoing our content. And this is what I told you guys, information is important. So you got to really trust the people that provide that information. And we rebuild our material every so often to stay current. We're really committed to this. We're dedicated to helping you guys out. So to answer your question, Ibrahim, there's a whole video on that. I could talk about an hour for volume profile. And in fact, I do in the video. So it's not an easy one. We actually have a volume profile video on YouTube if you search it. That's a good start. Is it still working, guys? Can you still hear the audio? All right. Let's keep going here. What are the, oh, hang on. Wow, there's a lot of questions. We'll keep going. Cheryl, I bought CM at 123. I sold at 102. Should I buy back at the current price? Cheryl, what do you think? That's what's most important. When you're investing, it's a very hands-on experience, and it's not something you want much input from somebody to tell you when and what to do. You want to gain their analysis, their ideas, and what they look for. But when it comes time to executing, you don't want to trust anybody else with that decision. That's on you. And if you do, that's where a financial advisor comes into play. But then you're really hands-off. So it's not, I can't tell you that. I'd have to look at a chart, and I don't know where you got in and averaged in. That's a worm tunnel. I unfortunately won't go down with you. But I can tell you that if you apply a lot of this stuff that we teach and that you see in our YouTube channel, you'll know the answer to that. And deep down, you know what's right, and that's the right answer. All right. Plan to cover your living expenses. Yeah, I'll talk about that, Trade Doc. Actually, at the end, I'll go through my questions, and then I'll answer that for you. How useful is futures when you're trading Forex? Very useful. So we tend to pigeonhole ourselves as traders. Before I actually hit my consistency, I had the same issue. So I'm right there with you guys. I'm not somebody who was gifted in a way that I know so much more. I just put a lot of time in, and I've been through the ringer with this market. I've been through a lot. I've been through the roller coaster. So to answer your question, how useful is it? It's useful. And what we do as traders sometimes, the most common mistake is pigeonhole ourselves into one product. I'll tell guys, hey, look, the US 30-year bond just popped. The yield went above 3%. Like, what do I care? I'm not a bond trader. I'm a Forex trader. However, you should care, because a lot of the asset allocation models, a lot of fund managers, a lot of money that flows globally, it's all interconnected. And despite what you trade, you should always look at as much market depth as possible. And futures is just one way to get that information. All right, so look at multiple markets, and whatever is important during that cycle, whether it's news or it's a seasonal thing, you always want to be on top of it. All right, so look for more information. So futures are important, even though you're a currency trader, or if you're a commodity trader, you want to know currencies. It's all interconnected, and don't pigeonhole yourself to one market. Expand your skill set and look at multiple markets. You may never trade them, but look at them. They tell you a lot. What news feed do you use? I use a news feed, Andre, called Trade the News. For our subscribers or members, there's actually a special rate for it, and it's called Trade the News. And I use the Futures and Forex audio squawk. It's very reliable, and it's institutional quality. They do use these in proprietary firms. I actually know a few prop firm owners that do use it personally, and I've heard it in their background as well. So it's called Trade the News. Another one's called Rand Squawk. Rand Squawk's a little bit of a higher price point, but those are the two main competitors that you want to check out and make a decision that's right for you. VR, you have to be on desktop version and no mobile version. Yeah, VR. Look, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. Is it okay if I'm honest with you guys? Do you want the cold hard honesty here? Let's see. Obviously, like that's a silly question. I'll tell you the honest truth. The honest truth is traveling and trading is extremely difficult, and it's hard to be successful on the road with a laptop. I know that lifestyle really draws in people from a marketing perspective, and you'll see that we don't do it. All right, we have a stationary place that we trade at. It's not impossible, but starting out to trade and having the vision of jumping on the road right again, or right as soon as you start, is a really difficult goal to accomplish. Trading's hard enough when your environment isn't changing, but it's even harder when your environment is changing. So I'd say at first desktop, focus on that, and then go mobile once you got a little bit of consistency. That way you're improving on one thing at a time, not just jumping in something totally new while you're on the run. Traveling, as fun as it is, it's stressful sometimes. All right, there's a lot of things you got to watch out for. I almost got my 2 monitors confiscated. I would have had to trade off 1 laptop screen. Imagine I did that. I went in, I trusted that process for a week somewhere, and I couldn't get a laptop monitor. That would have been a problem, right? So, anywho, let's keep going. Do I use level 2? Absolutely. We read the ladder every day. The ladder and the inventory levels is very important. 2 things you need to actually understand about level 2. Level 2 is inventory, which means there's an intent to sell or buy below. That's what you see on the level 2. But the more important part is not looking at level 2 in a silo, but looking at level 2 data versus what's actually traded, which is volume. So we're constantly comparing traded volume versus intent and seeing how that balances out for order flow analytics. Great question. Cheryl, if you become a day trader, do I report my income and trading as my employment income? That depends, Cheryl, on what jurisdiction you're in or country. But in Canada, we have the ability to elect to choose either income or capital gains. But once you choose it once, you're set for life. The CRA is very rigid. They don't like changes. So you could do both. If you plan to make money in this business and you have the option to choose, strongly encourage you to choose the capital gains route because obviously you pay less tax overall. You can't expense things against the income, but you at least have the ability to pay gains on just half of what you make. But I would tell you, Cheryl, check your jurisdiction, check with your accountant, and yeah, it's important. I'm not certified to give you tax advice technically. Do you have any long, Scalp says, do you have any long positions on any stock or just day trade and swing trade? Scalp, that's a great question. We keep and maintain an active swing trading portfolio through the use of options. So we do have some positions, and we're constantly sort of rebalancing the portfolio and adjusting to the market, but then we day trade. So we swing trade for wealth accumulation and growth, and day trade for cash flow. And a lot of that day trading profit, I mean, you build up your account to $30, $40, $50,000. As crazy as this sounds, that's enough for you to make multiple 6-figure years with just that little capital. I know it sounds nuts, but if you know futures trading, you know the potential. And so you're going to hit a point at which maybe it's not 30,000, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 200,000. You're going to hit a point at which you don't need any more money. What you need to do is put that money somewhere else from day trading. So you take it out. I prefer putting it in real estate. I like tangible, hard assets. I don't like to be overexposed in one industry. And so I like to diversify in my other investments outside of what I make from day trading. That's a great question. Do I follow VSA principles? Prakash, absolutely. Volume spread analysis is important. But more importantly than the spread, I follow the formation of the volume. The spread is not as indicative to me as how that volume formed. And not every contract traded is the same trade. There's sometimes it happens on the back of a sell imbalance or a buy imbalance. So to answer your question, yes, volume's key to us. I think a little coffee break here, sponsored by TradePro Academy. Thanks, TradePro. How do I like my coffee? Ask somebody. No, nobody asked that, but to answer, black. It's just black coffee. Anywho, let's keep motoring along here. How useful is level 2 in trading futures? Amathia, very useful. I wouldn't trade it without it. If I could just look at 2 things to trade with and everything else on my monitor disappeared, and I only had to choose 2 things, I would choose number 1, the price ladder, which is level 2. It's your inventory scale. It's the intent to sell and buy. That'd be the number 1 thing I choose. And the second thing that might surprise you is correlations. I love to see how other markets are moving. If I'm trading the S&P 500, you better keep your eyes out on the Dow, Russell, NASDAQ, DAX. Those markets are key to follow for correlatory positions. That's how a lot of the old floor traders would trade. They would use correlations by looking at the quote board, and they would trade and make money just based off of that. If you don't understand the inventory and the correlations, it's going to be hard to understand anything else because all that information is derived from those 2 sources. Great questions, guys. You guys are, wow. All right, let's keep chucking along here. How do you deal with a swing trade that gaps against you beyond your stop? Do you sell cover everything at the open? Ezekiel, we actually trade options. Options are a lot more capital efficient. And so when you're trading options, basically whatever the premium you pay is your maximum loss, which eliminates that gap risk. With this volatility in the market, there's a lot of gap risk. And if you're trading ETFs that are based on actual underlying futures, the gap risk increases tenfold. I just made that number, but it increases a multiple. So options is one way to mitigate that. And if it gaps against you, unfortunately, that's the risk of trading stocks. So at that point, yeah, you mean once you have a level, if it gaps below, throughout the day, you would probably want to exit the position because there's a reason for that gap. All right. I mean, most gaps tend to retrace. So on the retrace, you could look to scale out, but at this point, you're minimizing damage. Still damage that's done, and you have to get out if it goes below the level at which you've already predetermined you're going to get out at. Make sense? You got to be disciplined, follow your strategy. Are you guys using any option strategies? Tony, we absolutely do. We have a whole options course. We use a ton of option strategies, and they're great. What do you trade usually? CFDs or stocks, ETFs that track futures? I trade futures directly. I mean, Feknos. I trade the futures directly. I don't like to trade the ETF because the ETF trades the futures. Might as well bypass that middleman and go directly to futures. ETFs will gap and move overnight. Futures move overnight, and there's a lot of volatility sometimes, and ETFs are only open during US hours. And that's where you get these massive gaps. And so if you're going to trade something, trade the market that's the most liquid and the most direct source, and that's futures for me. You're welcome, Ibrahim. Looking to go full-time this year. Do you trade options on ETFs or companies in the ETF? Trade Doc, I like options on ETFs. And what I'll tell you is the only time I actually go down to the stock or security level is if I look at the options chain and the spread is ridiculous, like redonkulous, like bidding $1.05, offer $3. That spread's going to kill you for that options play. So what I look at is high volume, low spread, really thin, tight spread optionable plays. And if that's not available and I really want to make a move in some company, then sometimes I'll end up owning stock. Very rarely. In 2018, I think I only had 2 or 3 actual stock positions, if that. So, do I support the trade war? Scalp, I don't support any war. All right. You're going to get me on a tangent here, Scalp. Be prepared. I don't support war of any kind. I think that any kind of malicious intent where you're trying to do somebody wrong for your own benefit it's not long lasting. There's power and then there's force. And I believe that true power comes without force. And if you put force on somebody, you need constant energy to apply that force. So it's kind of a very time consuming task. I believe that true power comes when everybody's happy. And sometimes that might mean you getting less. All right. So you might want this, but if you settle at this and everybody settles higher than you do, I think that's the most sustainable way around it. So do I support the US-China trade war? I don't support any kind of war. I think what's going on is ridiculous. I think there does need to be change, but the way we're going about it's a little bit aggressive. That's just my personal opinion. And I think that when you force somebody into negotiation, oftentimes the deal isn't the best, all right? Because they're getting defensive and reactionary. You're really invoking, look, humans are tribal beings, all right? If there's one thing that's in our blood, it's security, it's protecting ourselves. And when you create a line of division through aggression, all right, that usually leads to a lot of emotional acts that create bad outcomes. And so I don't support the trade war. And I do think there needs to be some kind of renegotiation between China and the US. But I'll tell you this, China and the US are like this. They need each other. All right. China needs somebody to buy their goods, and the US needs somebody to buy it from. All right. China generates these exports and receives currency in US dollars. They take those US dollars and they buy treasury debt and they fund the United States government's budget. So they need each other. This relationship isn't something that just happened overnight. It was structured this way and it worked. And now that they want to change it, I think they got to come to some kind of agreement. That's told you you're going to get me off on a tangent there. Good job, Scout. Hello, Jasmine. Hey, Giannis. Giannis is here. Hey, buddy. How you doing? How's your weekend? Do you plan to update the course concerning market delta tools unavailable? Yeah, we're updating the whole course. The whole futures course being updated. We no longer use market delta. I personally do not. I've switched to Sierra charts. At the beginning, I questioned my move and my existence. But as I got used to Sierra charts, I'm realizing it's a much more powerful platform at a fraction of the cost. And so, to be perfectly honest with you, I made the switch a couple months ago, and I'm really happy with Sierra charts. Yeah. The new futures upcoming course has any big difference with the one that you taught in 2016? Yeah, Leonard, it does. The big changes are going to be some of the new order flow tools that we've introduced. So how we're going to use them. Also, how we qualify trades has changed a little bit. In addition to that, also, we're going to reteach it in a different format that will make it sink in a little bit better. When we first started the course in 2016, it was with great ambition and a great goal and purpose, and it's helped thousands of traders. And I think we have an opportunity to improve it. We basically have to flip the format, and you guys will see what we're going to do. You're going to really appreciate it. We're going to start at step one, look at more basic stuff, and then build into order flow. Whereas in 2016, we started with order flow stuff, confused you, and then told you how to apply it when you're confused. And I think that's where some of the challenges are, and we're completely rejigging the flow of it. I can't wait. It starts February 4th. If you guys want to check it out, it's for elite members, the retaping, and everyone will have access to it after the retaping, but elite members get to tape it live. So as I'm teaching it, you can ask questions. I can assist you one-on-one as we tape it. Huge benefits. Starts February 4th. If you go to our website, TradeProAcademy.com, you'll learn more there. What futures market can those of us who work in the mornings? I get off work at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. You're asking a good question here, Amathia. You all are. I'll answer this for you. When you say day trading, it throws a lot of traders off because they say, I work during the day. And I'll tell you something, that's an excuse because the markets are open 24/5. They're around the clock, save for, there's an hour of closure, an hour and 15 minutes. So, all right, I lied, 22.5 hours a day. So when you could day trade or actively trade in the evenings. In fact, we have a lot of our traders that join in the chat room and trade together. And one of our real big success stories, David, he's shared it on the YouTube channel, has started with a $700 account balance, has grown it to an awesome amount, and he keeps going. And he's out of Hawaii. He trades in the evenings with us. So I'm really proud of David. David, if you're here, proud of you, brother. Like you called it. You started TradePro, like I'm going to be one of your biggest success stories. He's working towards it. All right. So yeah, you can trade anytime. You're gonna have to. We actually have an evening trading course as part of our subscription. So we teach you how to day trade, and then we teach you how to apply those concepts in the evening. What markets to trade when, and if you want to trade the evening versus the afternoon, what has the most liquidity and where the best opportunity is. So how about that? Cheryl, if I have a full-time job during the day, can I become a day trader or can I trade futures? How? Sure, I think I kind of answered your question a little bit by answering Amathia's. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. And this is what I was saying, Cheryl, at the beginning is you're not trying to slot yourself into something that's happening at the moment. You're trying to look at the opportunity of trading and tailor it to what you want to accomplish, your schedule, your goals. And if you work during the day, you could absolutely still trade even in the evenings. The Asian markets open at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you're out in Europe, then you have the opportunity to trade the London markets. If you're out in Europe, as you finish work, you actually have the opportunity to trade the afternoon session in the US. So you could trade at any point, anytime. what I would tell you to start by what I said at the very beginning, create a schedule. What time can you commit and what days, and then work from there, right? You're more likely to get something done when it's doable for you. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say because like, duh, but you're more likely to complete something the less simple or the more simple and the less easy it is to integrate in your schedule. All right, I see it often. People dive in, they're like, yeah, they're gung ho. I'm going to put 30 hours a week. Then by the third week, it fizzles out. So go with less. Less is always more. Was that helpful, Cheryl? Do you recommend? Man, I'm trying to go rapid fire. Do you recommend buying allocated gold in Switzerland? No opinion on that. Evans Marketable Trading Group. How do you know whether the new option interest in options was bought or sold? Well, Evans, for every one option traded, there's both a buyer and a seller. So that's one thing you need to understand. There is technically no buy volume or sell volume. There's just volume. There's transaction volume. Determining whether it was a buyer or seller is a matter of location. It's kind of like real estate. It's where it happens on the chart in accordance to levels. And more importantly, it's comparing the open interest today to the volume of yesterday and then looking at the price. It's like a three-piece moving puzzle. So start to follow those things and you'll start to get a sense of what I'm saying. Do you have a video to explain market depth? Having trouble to understand it. Jasmine, our whole futures course talks about market depth. I think we have our first lesson of the futures course, the first one, the introduction, but we don't go into depth there. Maybe it's a video we create in the future for you, Jasmine. It's very important to understand that concept. Patrick, if you trade FX and you want to use COT as a tool, what do you look for? Patrick's the Commitment of Traders report, which, by the way, because of the government hitting its 22nd day of shutdown today, officially the longest on record, they're no longer publishing those COTs until the government reopens. So right now, it's not really telling you much. But what I look for is a change of position. All right, I'm looking for a flip from the long to the short side and the comparison of open interest or total volume on the long versus the short side. And if you look at it, what you're looking for is are the positions net long? And if they're net long, are they adding to their longs while cutting their shorts, or are they getting rid of their long and adding short positions, which is a reversal? You got to remember, institutional traders don't trade like the retail traders. And what I mean by that is they don't go and say, I have a 2-lot trade, boom, I'm in. It's not binary. It's not I'm in, I'm out. What they do is I'm going to put 100 shares here, 100 shares there, 100 shares, and they average in. They build a big position. So it's important to see those turning points where they start offloading from a long position. That usually predicts a reversal. I don't know if that helped you. We have a whole video on YouTube actually on how to read the COT, and we explain that in more detail. Go to our YouTube channel, type in follow the institutional money, something like that. Institutional money, TRADEPRO Academy, you'll see. Patrick, if you trade FX and you want to use COT as a tool, what do you look for? Patrick, I answered that. I actually reread it twice. It's not your fault. Trade doc, no covered calls. That's a strategy, passive for day trading. It does tie up cash. Thank you. No, I don't do covered calls. The income generation from a covered call is far less than my opportunity cost for other strategies. So I don't resort to that. It's a good passive strategy for investors. If I put some more money in a longer term investment portfolio, then I probably would. But I take out my cash, maintain an options play account, but the cash that I make comes out and goes into real estate. And that's just what I've chosen for myself. Doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. Do you think this government shutdown will affect stocks going forward, says William? I think temporarily, William. I think it's going to have a temporary effect. Less people getting paychecks, more less consumption. So there could be a little bit of a downward effect on it, but not for the very long term. It'll auto-correct in 2 to 3 weeks or so. It'll kind of snap back in. A lot of these furloughed government workers are actually getting emergency loans by banks at no interest, which is nice. All right, because they work hard and nobody should be put in danger of not feeding their family. Cheryl, someone told me to pick Delta 0.4 when we choose option price. They said I have 40% possibility. That is right. Do you agree? 40 Delta is a little low. Cheryl, I don't know. I'm assuming you want to swing trade. If my assumption is correct and you're looking to swing trade straight option positions, that is, there's no spreads. You're not spreading the position. You're just buying a call or a put. 40 is low. You have the highest gamma at 50%. And that's where people usually go because like, I want to make as much money as possible. And that's not how pros think, because when somebody says that, the top of my mind is how much are they going to lose, and they could lose it as quickly as possible as well. I like a 6 to 7 delta. You pay more for the option contract. The gamma is less, which means every $1 incremental move causes less of a move to your profit or loss, and that's also a good thing. I always think about my trades loss first, and if I'm a really good risk manager and I cap my losses, my reward will be the profit. All right. The goal is to always manage risk. That's where the profit comes from, not to make the most amount of money. People who make the most amount of money are focused on making the most amount of money in the shortest period of time, blow out their accounts the quickest. Thank you. Somebody said, great job, TPA. Dom from South America. Hey, Dom from South America. Thank you for being here and for the warm words. I really appreciate you. Hey, Mike. Mike is here. Mike H. is one of our members. Jasmine, I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to the futures course. I think it'll be fun. Jana, I'm one of the ones who are challenged with it, so I'm looking forward to the new futures class. Jana, you're not alone. We made that course with great intent, and it served its purpose, and I think it's time for something new and more exciting, and we're going to deliver, Jana. It's going to change your life. Derek, what is your take on seasonality? Derek, I love seasonality. Check out, if you use TradingView, check out 5-period seasonality is the study. It's a free indicator coded by some dude who I'm eternally grateful for, because my mind doesn't work like that. I can code a little bit, but I don't want to. So he's created, it's free. I love that indicator. And I love seasonals. I do a couple seasonal trades a year that are great. September, long volatility, great seasonal play. End of November, you have your retail stocks that pop in anticipation for the holidays. This is the first time that strategy's failed in the last 9 or so years, but it's coming back. XRT. I love seasonality. Yeah, we wrote a great article on it. Type it in Google, TradePro Academy, stock market seasonality. It's going to blow your mind. Ben, what do you use as an entry signal, and what's my strategy? Ben, you're looking for the secret sauce. Ben just comes in here and swinging. Benny boy, I'll tell you this. My entry signals are on, assuming I have 2 types of trading strategies, day trading and swing trading. And my entry signals for day trading is looking at order flow. I start with looking for a level, and I then look for a good area to qualify it. I'll give you this example, Ben, and if you start to visualize it this way, it's going to really help you, I think. I know it's going to help you. Look at your trades as a Boeing 747. All right, what do I mean by that? A Boeing 747 could fly on 4 engines, obviously, because it's got 4. It could fly on 3. I think it could fly on 2. It'd be hard as hell, but I know it won't fly on 1. And if it does, it's an emergency. All right. So here's what I'll tell you. When you're going into a trade, look for 2 to 4 things that you really put weight on and test those things, back test them, have some kind of evidence, not just what you like. For me, I like some order flow triggers, and depending on the market conditions, my qualifiers actually change. So I'm constantly changing and reviewing, analyzing data. It's very malleable. I can't tell you boom, boom, boom. If you did this, this, and this every time, 100% profit. If the market worked like that, there would be no market. Understand that nothing works all the time, and that's why the market works. Cool? Benny boy? So yeah, the analogy, if you have 4 engines running, you say you look for RSI, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, check, you're in the trade. Your question at this point becomes, is the plane still flying? You're monitoring the systems. If you lose one of your 4 entry qualifiers, now you're down to 3 engines. Now you got some decisions to make. You lose another one, now you're down to 2. All right. And that's where hope in your trade intersects and becomes higher than probability. And at that point, that's when you should get out. All right. When hope gets higher than your actual edge, it's a very dangerous level to be from. So the more engines you lose, the better the decision is to probably get out of the trade. Does that help you? Ben, I don't know. I feel like you just yapped for 30 minutes. Didn't want to tell Ben much. Yes. Boom, 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 boom. That's so good. Trade Doc, he said, I need to act like an institutional trader. Trade Doc, you should be the one doing this. That's the best sentence that we've gone through here all day. I'll tell you why. You have to think bigger than you are. And if you don't think bigger, you're not going to become bigger. All right. I love a lot of self-development stuff, and I don't want to get corny here because a lot of you may or may not be introduced to that world. But I tell you this, your reality becomes what your mind is thinking. All right. What creates and shapes and molds this reality is a thought. This TradePro mug wouldn't exist before some great genius mind thought about it. All right. thought converts into action. So to answer your question, you think like an institutional trader, you're going to trade like one. The problem with retail guys is they're very in and out. They're quick. They're very they kind of snappy. I'm in, I'm out, I want more. Oh my God, I missed it. Should I get back in? Oh, my stop is hit. They hit their desk, slam their monitor shut, and walk away frustrated. That's not how institutional traders trade. They're patient, they're diligent and disciplined. And if you think like one, you're going to trade like one and profit like one. I'm so happy you said that. All right, adopt a larger mindset. If you're trading 2 lots, pretend you're trading 2,000 and ask yourself, how would I get in? What, obviously you can't just go in and lift an offer at 2,000 lots. Market's going to run up. So you're going to have a strategy how to layer in. And when you find a strategy of how to layer in, that becomes your levels to trade. All right. See how genius that is? Thinking like an institutional trader makes you one. Man, that was a good comment. Sean, do you think, why don't you teach how to evaluate spreadsheet data and complete distribution of returns to properly evaluate your data? Sean, I wrote the CFA level 1. I got a band 10 fail, which means I was the top 10% of the people who failed. I studied probably on the bottom 10% of the people who failed. Actually, it was a pretty good run considering I didn't study that much. To answer your question, I'm not a fan of statistical analysis in the past because statistical analysis is good. If you have that kind of mind and you need that kind of confidence or reinforcer, by all means. I'm not saying it's not good for you. I'm saying for me, statistical analysis makes me think in the past and I miss the real time. I would rather trade 3 weeks in real time and analyze that data versus going back 30 years of historical data looking for trends that may never happen again. All right. The real time is where the money's made. And so that's why, I mean, can you create a spreadsheet model? Yes, you can. And I have for an iron condor strategy I ran, and it worked perfectly until it didn't. All right. And then when it didn't, I was looking for answers in the past data, and I wasn't looking at the most important thing that was right in front of me, today's price, the current data. All right. So yeah, you could do it. I encourage it if that's what you need for yourself. I personally don't do a lot of statistical back testing or analysis. I love to live test. So that's where the money's made. All right. There's a lot of people who could say, hey, it's time to buy in this little level. But when it comes down to it, it comes to their level and they miss the trade and they buy it at the top and get stopped out. And they said, man, my plan was here. Why the hell did I buy it up here? All right. And I think that we put so much weight on finding out where the market's going as if though it knows where it's going. And we kind of overlook the fact that we have to make these decisions in real time. It's a real-time business. It's not a statistical business. That being said, there's algos that run a lot of quant strategies, and by the time I blink, they do 1,000 trades. I'd get arthritis if I click the button that much. So yeah, a little off track there, but hope that helps you, Sean. Do you think Trump will get elected for a second term? Controversial. I don't dive into politics, Aurora. Nice try. See what you're trying to do there? Trying to ruffle some feathers. I don't dive in politics because politics, from an opinion standpoint, is dangerous. I think politics and how it affects the market is what I focus on. So I don't know. I honestly don't know, Aurora. We need some Forex Pro morning updates in 2019. King, I guess you trade Forex. We're working on some of that for swing trading. So good news will be coming your way soon, but not in the morning market updates. Ronald, I learn a lot with your videos. Thanks, Ron from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Hey, Ron, thanks, man. I'm happy that you're getting a chance to learn, and I'm happy that you're learning with us. I appreciate that because you could literally be anywhere else on the internet, and I appreciate you choosing us, and I'm committed to giving you guys, yourself, Ron, everyone else, the best quality content, and I really care. I care about you guys. I don't know if you can tell or not. It's Sunday at 3 p.m., and I'm here, and I'm going to keep going. Faisal, what do you think of XAU USD for this week on the daily time frame? Do we close as a shooting star? I don't want to look at charts, Faisal. Charts don't. We'll look at that another time. I think gold's, it really depends on what equity markets does. This is the example I'm going to tell you though, Faisal, where you're trading gold, you got to be looking at other stuff. Very important what happens to the equity markets in the next week. It's going to be very indicative of gold. So even though you trade gold, I tell you watch equities. If the 2630 fails on the SPOOs and markets drop, gold could break that 1300. And that's what XAU USD is at the end of the day. It's a CFD on the gold futures contract. I trade the futures directly. Damn, these questions aren't ending. How do you keep your stops tight without getting stopped out? Aurora. Aurora, why do you ask such good questions? What's wrong with you, Aurora? Jeez. I'm just kidding. That's a great. Hang on, let me have a little sip. Oh, little second break. Look at this on the back of this mug. This is a reminder for myself. All right. I'm gonna ask you guys this question. If I gave you $86,400, could you spend it every day? The answer is yes. Right. I'm sure you could find a way to spend that money and you'd be excited to do it. But we do have 86,400 seconds. The question is, how will you spend them today? And this is a constant reminder. That's literally what it says on the mug. 86,400 seconds. How will you spend them today? Yeah. Anywho, how do I keep stops tight? Patience. When we find a level, Aurora, that we're like, all right, this is a great trade. I'll give you a little tip. I'll make this quick because we got to go through a few more questions. Usually, when you put your entry order, it's the balance between you being afraid that you're going to miss it. You're saying, hey, look, I really like it here, but I'm going to put it here because I don't want to miss out on the trade. Is that true, Aurora? Yes or no? Do you find that sometimes you have that inclination to be like, look, I really like this level, but I want to get in just in case I miss it? All right, that's called FOMO. Let me tell you something about FOMO. Institutional traders know this, so do algos, and they use that to your advantage because they know people are long here, wipe the stops and pop back up. So put your entry where your stop normally is and accept the fact that you're going to miss some of the trades. And it's okay. A missed trade, I've never lost money on a trade I've missed, right? Understand that. You're never going to lose money on a trade you miss. You can't say the same for a trade you get into too soon. All right. So what you do is put your entry where your stop is. That gives you a little bit more patience and just watch and see how that goes and adjust from there. Hope that helps you, Aurora. Kim, really appreciate that you're updating your futures course. Looking forward to starting the trading psychology course now. Kim, that's awesome. I think the trading psychology course, of all of our courses, that's the one that's the nearest and dearest to my heart. I created it with a lot of good intention, and it's a life changer. It's not going to make you a better trader. It'll change your whole life, and as a result, you become a good trader. The things that I teach in that course, I've spent over $25,000 US to learn and apply to my life. And it's been paramount for my success. I can't tell you how much of success in trading is up here, like 150%. You know that you could tell I failed the CFA level 1. 150% mindset. All right, you quote that next time somebody asks you. But yeah, it all starts in the mind, and the psychology course is gonna. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your feedback, Kim, and it's gonna be a fun journey. You're awesome. Thanks, Ben. Kevin Stewart said, indeed. I agree, Kevin. Yeah, Amathia, I'm sorry, I keep butchering your name. Exactly. And if you don't have enough engines, going back to the Boeing 747 example, if you don't have enough engines, that plane won't take off. So it's probably better to not even take off, right? Because if you think about what a plane does, the only time the plane full throttle is hit is right on takeoff. They go to 50%, stabilize, push it to 100, full blast, and up it goes. And that's kind of how you got to be getting in your trades as well. You got to have some strong qualifiers, 4 engines that you trust to go at 100%. Blockchain bull, perception's reality. You and I, my brother, we're connecting right now, 100%. Like honestly, there's a really good book, Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, and I really recommend you guys check it out. I have no profit in suggesting this book. It's just a mind changer, and he says that in this universe there's a formless substance. So if you think about air, there is no air. First of all, you guys know that there's no void or a gap of anything. On a molecular level, it's all energy. So what Wallace D. Wattles says is there's a formless substance all around you, and the thoughts that you hold and create mold the reality from that formless substance. Can't tell you how much I believe that. Whatever you think up here, you create in your reality. And we go a lot of depth into the trading psychology course. What you think is what it becomes. Is trading training you provide similar to the one given in trading departments of banks? If different, what is different? What else do they look at? Mo, this course that I've developed, I know a lot of people in this business, and it's proprietary level. So if you were to join somewhere at any proprietary firm, you would learn very similar material as what you get in the course. In fact, I go above and beyond on the psychology aspect. We go so deep in psychology, it's life values. It's not even trading. It goes so much further. So yeah, it's basically proprietary grade course. When I designed this course and when I'm redesigning it now, I'm creating it at a level that if a prop firm wanted to purchase it, they stamp their logo on it and they put their trader on it, and that's it. It's complete training. They don't have to do anything else. That's where we're going with this. Can you build an algorithm filter for market? You can, yeah. Leroy, by analyzing order flow, you know when there's algorithmic activity. By looking at inventory level 2, which is called market depth, footprints, and learning how to read how the orders actually flow through into the market, you start to see the algorithms. You don't need a filter. It's your eyes and your experience. But you can create one. I know Market Delta has one. Merger says, hello, mate. How can I add the VPVR indicator? I don't see anyone in TradingView. Merger, that's a premium add-on. You got to have Pro, and I think it's like $18 something a month. If you subscribe, actually, TradingView gives you 50% discount if you subscribe to a trial and you upgrade within that 30 days. Yeah, I know, Sean. I understand that they do a lot of spreadsheet analysis, but I follow the institutional money on order flows. Look, no matter what you look at, all right, there's long-term investors, there's short-term investors and day traders. No matter how you're looking at the market with whatever lens that you choose, if you're a quantitative guy, all right, if you're value-driven, no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, you are going to put your same trade in the exact same place as me, and I'm looking at it, right, on the chart. I know when you're putting your trade on, and that's enough for me on a day trading basis to ride out some of that momentum. I'm not a long-term driven investor. All I care about is volatility. I tell my wife, she says, I don't know how you can only work 2 hours a day and do so good. I tell her, you know what? It would be even better if I could have a volatility clock. I'd love it if my alarm clock only rang when there was going to be volatility. It'd be even better. But that's just my take. And I can tell you something, Sean, there's people who are using your exact approach that works. And I think you need to go with where your heart is. So I don't know. I hope it helps. How do you record your past trades and do you prefer to, do I refer to them? Boggs, I record them. Sierra Charts records them for me. And then they actually go through, I could go through and filter them out and see an amazing amount of information. Win-loss percentage, value at risk, a whole ton of stuff. And that's what I use. What's your take on blockchain? Is it dead? Derek, let me ask you this. In 30 years' time, do you think Bitcoin and blockchain will still be around? And will it have a greater significance in the way transactions are done? If the answer is yes, just buy more. If the answer is no and you're skeptical about it, then I would wait. I don't know. That's the answer. And that's why it's so volatile. I really don't know. And I could paint the picture for either way. I was excited about blockchain a long time ago. Bitcoin was trading under $1 when I was learning about the technology. Remember, I went to school initially for electromechanical engineering technology, which is robotics, long way of saying it. I liked tech. I thought it was cool, but it's changed. The intent behind Bitcoin and what it was designed for, that's starting to kind of get, how do I say it? It's starting to crumble a little bit, if you know what I mean. But ask yourself, in 30 years' time, will it be around? And do you want to be part of it? Ask the question. Fernando says, thanks for the information you provide. I joined your YouTube channel a few weeks ago, and it's great. Do you recommend any books to help with their trading psychology? Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. Victorio's reading that. He's going to give you guys a good review. And these guys, TradePro Academy, I don't know if you heard of them. This crazy guy named George created a really good trading psychology course. The way the psychology course works, we have a diagram, and each one of those diagrams are, it's called the self-sabotage cycle, and it's triggered by different psychology mindset things. Mark Douglas's book is great, but he tells you what the problems are and not the key solutions. You got to come to those key solutions yourself. And I think that's some of the challenges people have with that book. It's a great read. And what we've done is we have the self-sabotage cycle, what triggers it, and actionable exercises to get out of that in real time. What's my favorite time to trade futures? 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern, because that's when the US market opens and the European closes. It's actually 9:30, 11:30. How much is a psychology course? $3 million. Just kidding, Fernando. It's actually included in the Elite bundle. It's $169 a month. There's no commitments, no obligations. Look, my goal is to help change your guys' world. And I hope you can tell that. I'm passionate about changing your life. I love to see people make more money than me trading. Believe it or not, that touches my heart. Like I freaking love it. I'm just based on my personality. I'm an enabler. I like to empower. And so, so it's priced very fairly. That's why I want to say that it's a value purchase. You can watch the course for a month. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. Hell, you can watch the course for 14 days, ask for a refund. And it would kind of suck. Be careful doing that to people because you're sending negative energy. And what you send and what you think, you create. It's not because I wouldn't want to give you the refund. I'll gladly give it to you after 14 days, within 14 days if you don't like it. Just careful what you put out there because it comes back. It's not a threat. I'm just saying. All right, a few more questions. And then going for an hour. Holy crap. Is there any personal development or trading psychology resources you would recommend? Blockchain bull. Personal development is a separate basket. And I mean, other than my course, I honestly don't know anything that's kind of combined the two worlds this deeply. I combined it very deep. But if you want to look at some personal development stuff, Wallace Waddles is a great book to start. A lot of what's out there in personal development today is based on those concepts. He's one of the first to really get into it. Think and Grow Rich is a great book. Oh man, there's so many. There's so many books. You know what? When we get to the new office, I'll show you the books that we have on our bookshelf. How about that? Because that'll probably be helpful. You could choose where to start. Psycho-Cybernetics, that's a great book. I'm trying to think what else. There's a ton of them. Miracle Morning for a different reason. Bob Proctor is a great guy to listen to. Tony Robbins is awesome to inspire you, but the thing with Tony Robbins is you get physiologically worked up. He does these physiological exercises, jump and do this, and great, gets the blood flowing, gets you thinking a different way, and you go home and it's all gone. So I like actionable stuff. I listen to a lot of podcasts too. Best broker for Forex. A lot of fraud and con in the market. Dave, focus on the positives, man. Come on, Dave. Go to our webpage, TradeProAcademy.com. Go to partners and click on the link about Forex brokers. Talk to that guy and he'll help you. He'll ask you questions one-on-one, which is a lost art in this business, and point you to the right broker that makes sense for you, the reputable broker. I'll tell you one thing about Forex. Do not take the cash incentive. Open your account and get $500. If you're going to be making bank in the business, what's $500? What happens with the $500 is it locks your capital in. You can't take it. A lot of shady stuff in FX. Look, focus on the positive, George. So yeah, do that. Go to our website. That guy will help you out. Trent's an amazing guy. All right, let me just blast through a couple of these. Janice says, Mike, I agree with. Mike says, psychology course is amazing and a life changer. Thank you, Mike. Mike's a member, very active one. He's a great dude. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for sharing that with some of the other people here on YouTube. Jana, thank you. I appreciate that as well. Should I agree with Mike? She enjoyed it 100%. Wallace Waddles, Mitchy Mitch. Mitchy Mitch. Wallace Waddles, The Science of Getting Rich. It's a bit of an abrupt start into the personal development industry. It's life-changing. I'm telling you, that book is life-changing. The way that's going to shift your thinking. I'm not going to go into it because some people, unfortunately, aren't ready to hear it. But when you read it and understand it, anyways, I probably just sold 1,000 of those books from. I just joined last night in your elite membership. I've trading before, but very impressed so far. I'm in less than 3 on your foundations course. Great job. Dennis, thank you a bunch. Welcome aboard officially. I'm happy to get a chance to meet you. And I appreciate that feedback. Dennis, I joined elite and he's impressed so far. We hear that a lot, Dennis. I hear a lot of people say, like, why don't you guys charge more? And we got a lot of value. And that's part of our business model. And welcome to the family, Dennis, officially. Aurora, do you have any investments in cryptocurrency? No. I wanted to short crypto when it broke 20,000 US. It didn't do it. That was my only play. I don't invest in cryptocurrency. Like I mentioned, a lot of cash flow investments go into real estate for me personally. Just what I prefer. When you draw support and resistance lines and fib retracements, why do you use the wicks when it's not the most confident bought sold of that candle? Dennis, that's a good question. You could do both. You could draw the wicks and then also connect the body, the candle bodies. I would actually recommend doing both of them to follow them. I like the wicks because if you have a trend line on the wick and you're putting a buy order or let's say sell order at the top, that buy order will usually be at a better level than if you just put the candles, you put your buy order here and you get stopped out. Because remember, the extreme parts are volatility. And if there's volatility there before, it'll probably test that level again. So if you put on the candle body, you get stopped out, bounces back up. And that's why I like to capture the wicks. It helps me kind of paint a neater entry area, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, then sorry. Thanks, Giannis. Hey guys, can some of you press the like button? I really appreciate it. I think YouTube would like it if you did, and I would honestly appreciate it. I think that it gives if you like me spending the time and being here with you, please click the like button. Would really appreciate it. And yeah, send some positive vibes. Can you list a couple podcasts to listen to also? Yeah, Mitch, Science of Getting Rich. That is by here. Let me open up my podcast. Science of Getting Rich, which is by Matt Bodnar. Not the Science of Getting Rich. The Science of Success. It's kind of like psychology, but evidence and data driven. That's by Matt Bodnar. Amazing podcast. We Study Billionaires, the Investors podcast. This is a great one as well. They look at interviews from billionaires and discuss it, and also they have great quarterly meetings. They review a lot of investment books. That's more investment focused. Awesome podcast as well. I back those guys. What else? Those are my two main ones, to be honest with you. I like to listen to things that make me wonder and question and think. Very nice to spend the Sunday with you as well, Jasmine. You're welcome. I married her. I married the fiance this year in July, and super happy. Best decision of my life. Love that woman. How many trades do you place simultaneously? How many lots per trade? How much do you risk per day as a percentage of your whole account? What is your daily goal? Mo, geez, Mo, why don't you just write an essay? Let me answer these very quickly, Mo, for you. How many trades simultaneously? Usually 2. I can't focus. I have, I'm one of those guys that has a hard time focusing sometimes, if you can't tell. So usually 2 markets simultaneously because I just can't keep track of more in a day trade perspective. But in swing trade, 8 to 10 is probably the maximum any given moment. How many lots per trade? It depends. To me, that it varies anywhere between 6 to 20. Depends on how I feel, how the market feels, and the combination of the two. How much do you risk per day as a percentage of your whole account? Very little, because my account has grown. And I got a lot of dead capital in my account. I need to take some of it out and do something with it, because as you build your day trading account, you don't need all that much money to day trade. You really don't. Like, you think you do, and then you start doing it, and you're like, man, this is so efficient that if I just manage my risk and stay disciplined, the more money I have in my account, the bigger of a liability it becomes. One of those days you get pissed off. You're like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but this will come back. And you start buying and buying and buying. You blow out your whole account. When people start out, I've had people come in saying, I want to put $1 million in futures. I tell them, great, start with 5,000, save the rest and thank me later, because it's a liability. All right. It's a huge liability. If you made money in another business and you're hopping over here, remember, you're starting at the ground level. Right? I don't care what kind of business you used to run. There's probably a lot of carryover stuff, but this is a new business, and you have to earn the right to have $1 million futures account. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope you understand, like a psychological perspective. You got to earn that right. And so, yeah, that's part of your question. What is your daily goal? Doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter, Mo, because my daily goal won't really help you, to be perfectly honest with you. It varies. All right, there's the ability for you, and then there's a psychological cap. So the way it goes is, it's your ability to make more money. It goes kind of hockey stick. You could make a ton of money very fast, and then you hit like a break, and that's your psychological cap. That depends on your values. All right, from 0 to 7, that's the forming stage. That's where you've created your values, and you've carried them since then, which is crazy. Most people don't realize that. And those values will determine what your cap is. And so my cap won't really help you. But good question. Where's the love button? Right here. You are it if you you are it if you right here. It's a hug. All right. Wow, that's good. You're my favorite person. I'm so happy I found you. That's so sweet. Signing up for Elite in February. I have high hopes. Amazing. I got a lot of high energy stuff for you and a lot of learning. So you won't be disappointed, I promise. Or your money back. You're welcome. Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, Peter. Peter says, Elite's awesome. I recommend it. Been in it for 3 months. Amazing, Peter. I'm happy you're seeing value in it, and I appreciate you for being with us. And I'm really happy to hear that you're taking something away from it. If I feel that if somebody does the course for 6 months and they get nothing out of it, you know, I don't like to see that. Yeah, it's revenue for the business, but that's secondary. The most important part is that we give you guys a result. All right, and I'm happy that you're happy with it, Peter. We appreciate you. All right, guys. I think that's it. Let me take another sip of coffee. And if you enjoyed this, please click the like button. We'll try to do one of these every so often, and I'd love to hear feedback. Did you guys like the session? Was it helpful, and you want to do more? Extremely new to trading. Haven't even gone live yet, but I'm finding your videos extremely helpful, especially Fibonacci. Awesome, Jamie. Jamie, don't rush going live. Going live is something that happens once you're comfortable. So when you get to a level of comfort, you'll know when it's time to go live. I always get asked that question. How do you know when it's time to go live? You'll know. You'll know before I do for you. Watch one of your videos regarding the change to Sierra and using AMP as a broker. Can't TOS do the same thing? Dennis, Thinkorswim is a great platform. It's a great general platform for everything. It's not so great for futures, unfortunately. You need to have order flow data, and their data isn't as high quality to be able to look at order flow analysis. They don't have a fraction of the tools to really day trade with order flow. So, I mean, it's good. And as you go through the course, you might find out that you might want to try out Sierra. All right. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to do this one maybe again. I'm planning for the second Tuesday of February. No date yet. I'd love to help you with some more questions. I'm going to give the voice a rest. I actually went out last night and I said, hey, I'm going to have one drink with some friends and come home and get some good sleep. And I strolled in the wee hours of the morning. So I'm going to go get some rest. We have market analysis live tonight for our members at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all subscribers get it for all packages. We kind of analyze the week ahead, look at institutional volume, what might move the markets and news, and many other things. We'll see those members there. I appreciate you guys for coming here, asking questions, taking time out of your weekend to be with me. Appreciate each and every one of you, and I love you guys. Honestly, at the bottom of my heart, I do this for you, and I hope you can tell. All right, I appreciate you. You guys have a great weekend to you and your families. Until next time, this has been Ask a Trader Live. We're gonna have to work on the intro. We're gonna have something for you. Don't worry, we'll deliver. Take care, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Where's the button to stop the broadcast? Here it is. Bye, guys.